Good morning, peeps. What's up? So I haven't posted in a while. I've been busy, man. Life gets in the way, dude. Things you gotta do. Gotta work. This is my part-time gig. I'm not even at 1,000 subscribers yet, so I'm not getting any funding from YouTube, but I love doing it, and I'm trying to get some decent content out there for you all. I did go to Hawaii, and I did not get on any fish. Here's a couple clips or some footage from my trip. If you guys were interested, I know a couple guys online were asking me, hey man, did you go to Hawaii or what? I did, but I did not catch anything. I was out there for probably like 3 or 4 hours when I finally found a spot that I could get access to and in the water that was in close proximity to my hotel. But it didn't go good, man. I was trying to get some trevally. I mean, time of the year, the weather was junk, man. It was really, really windy and wavy and all kinds of stuff. But here's a really quick clip of that. All right, so here we go. We found a spot. Tide is incoming. I'm just throwing a plug. Gonna be interesting here, my friends. And we might be getting wet. Today I think we're going to roll into a review of the kayak I've been using for the past 5 or 6 years. Those of you guys that follow me on the regular, you know I'm a pretty thrifty dude. And the same is true for my kayak. I just couldn't stomach, you know, going out and well, I wanted a pedal drive kayak, which that was kind of the goal. So I searched kind of high and low to find one that was decent enough and the right price point for what I was willing to pay. And I did find one. I actually found it on a YouTuber's channel who went to visit a fishing expo in Orlando several years ago. And it was a newer company at the time. It's called HooDoo Sports. And they made a pedal drive prop style kayak. And the price point was about, now keep in mind this was 6 years ago. It was $1,300, I think is what I paid for it. And when you compare that to, you know, $3,500 for the Hobies or the Old Towns, that's a pretty good price, man. So I did a lot of research, looked into the reviews of the boat, and it all looked pretty good. So I ordered one. The company itself was, like I said, new. HooDoo was great to work with. The problem is they use a third-party vendor for shipping these things, and not only did it take like a month or so for the kayak to come in, but the first one I got, the shipper had damaged. So I contacted HooDoo, and I spoke with somebody that was higher on the food chain at HooDoo. He had no issues with it, man. He sent me another one almost immediately. That one came in probably a few weeks later. The shipping company picked up the old one, and I was up and running, man. So I'll go over some of the features of that kayak, but like I said, it was the decision to buy this kayak was a pedal drive. It had good reviews, you know, from the folks that purchased one before me. Said it does what you want it to do. And I'll get into a little bit of that when I get the kayak laid out here at the fishing lab and let you guys know what I like, what I don't like, so stick around.
Uh-oh.
All right, y'all, so I pulled the yak out. I got it sitting over here on a stand just so you guys can get a better view of it. I tried to do this inside the fishing lab, and it was just too dark. I don't feel like messing around with a bunch of lights and trying to get the lighting right. So we're gonna pull it outside, put it on some stands here, and just take a look at it, right? So, as y'all can see, this is my HooDoo Tempest 120p. So, like I said, I've had this thing for about 6 years now. Comes in a bunch of different colors, and I guess what we'll talk about in terms of kayak review, because I was trying to think of how I'm going to do this, is we'll just make a list of pros and cons. Okay, there's a lot of pros, but there's also some cons to this thing as well. So let's start with the pros. Price point. This thing costed me, you know, $1,300, I think. It might have been a little bit more including shipping, but $1,300 for a pedal kayak is jam up, dude. And like I said, it's 6 years old, and I have a tendency of taking pretty good care of my stuff. I also added some flex tape around the hull here on both sides because I'm constantly banging on, you know, pilings and oysters just to protect the hull. So I usually take another tape and go over this piece before every season, and it's looking like I'm gonna have to do that again. I also put some flex tape on the bottom side of the hull here just from taking it in and out of the truck and banging it on concrete and stuff. And then as an additional layer of protection, I'll paint some Flex Seal over that tape as well. It seems to work pretty good. I mean, the flex tape gets beat to hell, but the hull itself is in good shape. So yeah, back to pros. Price point. It's pretty stable for, I mean, I'm 6'3". It's not a wide kayak, and I wouldn't suggest, you know, throwing cast nets or stuff like that out of it. But I can stand up at 6'3", and it's relatively difficult, I guess, to I'm not like shaking on both legs, if that's what you're thinking. But it's not as wide or as stable as like a Hobie or an Old Town, but it's stable enough that if I had to stand up and stretch my legs, I can without any issue. Another plus is the seat. So the stadium seat, it only adjusts backward and forward, but it's pretty damn comfortable, man. I mean, it's not hydraulic or anything, but it just has these straps if you want to lean back a little further, or if you want to stay upright. You just kind of adjust these straps, and it'll stay like that for most of the day. Like, I've been in this joker for, you know, 7, 8, 9 hours, and I haven't had any issues. So I don't know. If you got back problems, it might be a different issue. I don't know. Let's see. Another plus is, the drive. Okay, so this is the drive for the kayak. All right. The way I mean, it's really easy. It just pulls right in and out. It's pretty heavy. It's like made out of a cast metal material. I think it's like cast iron or something like that. But the advantage to this thing is, so when you're ready to put it in the water, you just pick this thing up here, don't think you guys saw that. Put this thing up here, drop it into place, and then lock it in. Put your little shelf thing here back, and you are ready to go. Now, the drive itself, which is different from the Mirage drive, is, and this is a pretty big plus for me, is if you want to go forward, you pedal forward. If you want to go back, you know, with the Mirage drives, you have to pull a lever or whatever, and then you can reverse. Not with this, you just literally pedal backwards and you can go in reverse. So saves time. You'll constantly see me in some of my videos, you know, pedaling forward for something and then pedaling back, and I'm trying to get myself in the same position or kind of stay in the same position. And once you mess around with it a little bit, you'll get it figured out pretty quickly. Comes in a bunch of different colors. This is the color I chose because it's pretty wicked, man. It comes in like a flame, camouflage orange, green. Then they have some flat colors as well. I don't remember all the color schemes, but I'll link or I'll post their link in the description box when I get back to the crib. Okay. Oh, and it comes with a paddle from the manufacturer. So a lot of the kayaks don't, but this is the paddle that actually came with, you know, 6 years ago, and it's pretty decent paddle, man. I mean, I haven't had any problems with it. It's done what it's supposed to do. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is. It's a flipping paddle, man. Paddle. All right, cons. Cons to the Yak. The hatches on this thing are pretty much worthless. This one here, I mean, if you want to store some stuff in it, go ahead and do it. But trying to get into this hatch, and this is the easiest one to get to in the whole Yak, is not fun. There's another hatch up here up front, and I usually keep my battery for my electronics if I'm running a fish finder in there. But trying to get to that hatch when you're in the Yak is almost, like I said, impossible. And then there's a dry hatch back here under my milk crate. So that is one of the downfalls. Trying to get to the hatches are pretty much useless. The other downfall is this area here is basically all you got for a cooler. I don't know what kind of cooler you guys use, but this is a milk crate and it barely fits in the back of this thing, so you are not getting any kind of cooler in this joker at all, which is why I bought this fish bag up here, which works really well with me, or for me. It's you know, just a modification that I made, and I'd much rather use that than a cooler anyway. The other thing that you'll see in some of my videos, which is a negative for this kayak, is when you're sitting in the boat and you catch a fish, this is not a lot of workspace to deal with a fish, especially when you have the pedals going, you know, your knees are up high, and you got a fish that you just netted, and you're like setting it and trying to work with the fish in this area here, whether that be, you know, trying to measure the thing, taking a hook out of his mouth, or if you're struggling with, you know, a foul hooked fish and trying to get the hook out. You don't got a lot of space here, man. You don't got a lot of area to work with. So that is a downfall. And I've coupled that with the fact that it doesn't have any kind of little cupboards or shelf areas to put any kind of gear. You know, this is all you get. You know, this little area right here for a drink, which this is not tall enough. Your drinks are constantly falling out of there. But this little space here and this little area here is all you got for gear. So most of the time, like pliers and knives and stuff are just, you know, floating all over the underside of the seat and kind of a pain in the butt to get to. But that's a pretty big negative for me, is there's not a lot of area to work. Another con is these rod holders. So when you have a rod, there's two. There's one here and then one here. But when you have a rod in this thing, it comes out at a really goofy angle. And you would think, being so close to the seat, that it would be easy to get at. But when you're in the kayak and you're trying not to, lean over to one side, they're actually not real easy to get to, man. I know that sounds goofy, but you'll pretty much throw your shoulder out trying to mess around with these rods all day. It's not much different than this extra, rod holder I've added back here. I mean, it doesn't make much sense, but it's pretty difficult to get to. Another con is this thing doesn't steer well for shit. I mean, you are not cutting any corners on a dime. I pretty much have to use my paddle to assist if I have to make fairly sharp turns. This is how the rudder is controlled, this little knob right here. So the underside of the rudder, just goes back and forth. And yeah, you're not making any turns on a dime there. So I'll use my paddle to assist with that. I guess I could add, some modifications, which I planned on doing, to modify the rudder a little bit, but I just haven't got around to that yet. And maybe that'll make a difference. I bet it will. So that may solve that issue, but I'm just bringing that to y'all's attention if you're thinking about getting one of these things. I'm thinking that's pretty much it, man. That's all the pros. Like, in a nutshell, pros are, price point. It's a durable kayak. The company is great to work with. Forward and reverse on the drive. The drive is very sturdy. The drive works very well. You can get up there. You can get going pretty good with no current. And the seat's pretty comfortable, man. Keep in mind you're paying half of what you'd be spending on like a Hobie or an Outback. So when you couple that with the cons, you're kind of making out like a bandit, dude. But that's just my opinion. So that's all I got for that, guys. If you got any questions, or if there's something I left out with the kayak that you wanted to know, go ahead and shoot me a question or comment or whatever, and I'll answer it to the best of my ability. And honestly, the 6 years that I've had this thing, I've been satisfied. I mean, I've gotten, $1,300 out of this thing and then some. So just my 2 cents. Let me know what you think. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one, man. Peace.